Good afternoon, councillors and officers and public. Welcome to this online meeting of the Wellington Shire Council on the 1st of June 2021. I hope everyone is able to hear and see me. Now, before we start the meeting, of course, we now have to do the roll call, and each councillor needs to respond and say that they can see and hear me. So starting with the roll call. Councillor Bye.
Yes, Mayor, I can see and hear you.
Councillor Ma.
I can see and hear you, Mayor.
Councillor Mackenzie.
Mayor, I can see and hear you.
Councillor Ripper.
Can you hear me, Mayor? But we're working a little bit of a computer issue here, but we're getting there.
I can hear you.
Yeah, come back to me, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ripper. Councillor Rossetti.
Yes, I can see you visually and hear you orally.
Thank you. Councillor Tatterson.
Good afternoon, Mr Mayor. I can see you and I can hear you.
Councillor Wood.
I can see and hear you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. I don't think that we have Councillor... Oh, now, Councillor Crosley.
She's just come in, Mayor. She just sent me a message that the internet had gone down, so she's joining via a hotspot. So we'll just give Councillor a couple of seconds for her internet to kick in.
All right, Councillor
Here again.
Ripper, what's your status now, Councillor Ripper?
You can hear me, but you just have to hold... yes, we're here now.
I can see you, Councillor Ripper. Thank you, Councillor Ripper.
Thank you.
Councillor Crosley.
Turn off. I can't turn off. That's all right.
Councillor Crosley. You. No, Councillor Crosley. She was there for a moment, but she seems to have gone again.
If you're comfortable, Mayor, we'll just wait for 10 seconds or so.
Yes,
just for
absolutely. No, that's fine with
connection. Our agenda will allow it. If that's okay with you, we'll just see if Councillor Crosby can join us coming in.
Yeah.
If not, Mayor, we can go through the formalities of the start of the meeting. Councillor Crosby may be able to join us before the first agenda items.
Yes. Well, perhaps we'll just wait for a moment. I can see Councillor Crosley's photo, but the wonderful internet. I don't think we've had this problem before with online council meetings, councillors. No, well, perhaps I will go through just the formalities, Mr. CEO. And then we can yes, see how Councillor Crosley's going. So firstly, the council meeting information. As we enter another COVID-19 lockdown, the Minister's Good Practice Guideline MGPG1 virtual meetings issued by the Minister for Local Government will apply. Pursuant to Section 87 of the Local Government Act 2020, these guidelines ensure that local government decision-making can continue in line with COVID-19 restrictions, and further details can be found on the Local Government Victoria website. These guidelines took effect from the 1st of May 2020 and will remain in place through till the 26th of April 2022. While members of the public cannot attend this meeting in person, we have provided options for you to interact with us virtually via our council meetings page on the Wellington Shire Council website. You are able to interact with council in two ways. Email a specific question or comment relating to a particular council agenda item no later than 1 p.m. on the day of the council meeting, or for general questions to council via the online web form early in this meeting to ensure that your questions can be dealt with at the end of this meeting. While we maintain a virtual way of gathering, we thank you for your ongoing support. And Councillor Crosley, are you with us now? I can see you.
I can hear and see you, but I don't know how long for.
Thank you, Councillor Crosby. Well, we hope I'll keep the meeting brief. Thank you very much for your attendance. Next, I'll do acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai Kurnai people, and pay respects to their elders past and present. And now the prayer. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the Wellington Shire Council, its councillors, officers, staff and their families. We pray for your guidance in our decisions so that the true good of the Wellington Shire Council may result to the benefit of all residents and community groups. Amen. Now, moving along to apologies. We have no apologies at the moment, except my screen's all just blinked and I'm still with you, I hope. The declaration of conflicts of interest. There's no declarations of conflict of interest that I'm aware of. No, thank you. Confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting.
Councillor By, Mayor, would like to move that.
Thank you very much, Councillor By. Do I have a seconder?
Can I move it first, Mayor?
Oh, sorry, you can.
I move that Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting of the 18th of May 2021.
Now can I have a seconder?
Second, Councillor
Thank you,
Wood.
Councillor Wood. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll declare that recommendation carried. I'm assuming you're happy.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor By. The next item is business arising from previous minutes. There is none that I'm aware of. Acceptance of late items and urgent items. There's no items that category. There are no notices of motion. There are no petitions or joint letters outstanding. Invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements. Councillor Ripper, I understand you have something?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time of COVID and in lockdown again, I'd like to acknowledge those shop owners who are allowed to trade under the COVID conditions, and I want to encourage local people to shop local. Continue to shop local. Whatever town you live in, if they've got a store, hardware store, coffee shop, please shop local and support them. By shopping local, we are making sure that those shops will continue to be open. And when you go to the shop, your smile, their smile back at you and saying g'day, psychologically gives so much to each person. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for those comments, Councillor Ripper. Next item is questions on notice. There are no questions on notice. Report of delegates. Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. For the assistance of our community, some time ago, the Victorian Government assigned Wellington Shire as one of a number of renewable energy hubs in the future renewable world. Hence the interest by various companies ranging from solar, hydrogen to wind and other sources of renewables wishing to locate and set up here. One of those companies is Star of the South, and as a delegate representing the Wellington Shire, I recently attended their 5th Community Advisory Group meeting that was held at the Tura Recreation Reserve on May 24. As stated earlier, there have been 5 community group meetings, with the first being in Yarram, then Traralgon, Sale, Lakes Entrance and now Tura. The Community Advisory Group meets every 2 months, and the Tura meeting attracted around 12 community influencers and a further 8 via Zoom. Representing the Star of the South was the CEO, Caspar Frost Forhog, and CDO, Erin Colden, who provided an update on what was happening since the last meeting, such as they conducted a range of community events and project updates in March and April. 2 new members have been appointed to the Yarram office. This shows their commitment to not only the project, but to the area. They continue to engage with 45 key land stakeholders in providing updates on various matters that will influence the success of the project. They have attended and spoken at various corporate, government and business bodies such as Clean Energy, Wellington Shire Council and the Wind Farm Australian Energy Group. Each meeting is designed to provide an update on how the project is progressing and what activities have occurred. We heard from Caspar the intricacies of a turbine from its origins that date back to 1887 what capacity the blades have for providing power, what determines the size of the turbines to maximise the generation of power, such as a wind profile, seabed conditions, and local environmental conditions. We were then provided with details on how a turbine foundation is selected, design layout of the wind farm, the construction progress, and inevitably decommissioning. The project is still very much in its infancy, as they are still in the data gathering phase, and once Data South have all the data, a submission to government will then be made to its viability, as this is the first wind farm that will be offshore in Australia. So we are in a new frontier as far as renewables are concerned. Mayor, as a footnote, I would like to make the following observations. From the start, the Data South management and staff have been transparent and inclusive of the community. They have engaged, listened, and become part of the fabric of our shire. They can continue to be a presence by maintaining an office in Yarram, so that any community member can come in and ask a question that they have, and have community advisory meetings in the region. They come to us and not the other way around. The openness and transparency has resulted in having a community that feel engaged, that feel they are being heard, that feel there is no surprises, and to that end, other organisations within the renewable space that is looking at this region could learn from the ways Data South has engaged the community. Other potential players in the renewable space need to embrace the community, obtain their trust, take them on the journey, and everyone will benefit. Finally, Mayor, at the last council meeting, the CDO, Erin Coldham, of the Data South, presented to council and was happy to inform us that she had recently purchased an electric car and was able to recharge the car at the recent recharge station at the Port of Sale, before she went back to Melbourne. And so we can certainly say that we are Wellington proud. Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry, I'd muted myself. The next item, thanks, Councillor McKenzie. The next item on the agenda is item 11.1, review of the CEO appointment to the Destination Gippsland Board.
I'm happy to move that, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
I move that Council approve the continuation of the appointment of the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, Mr David Morecambe, as a Director of the Board of Destination Gippsland Limited.
Happy to second.
Happy to second that, Mayor.
Thank you. I don't know, I've got a bit of a conflict of voices there. I'll take you, Councillor Bye. I saw your mouse. Thank you. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'm happy to declare it carried. Councillor Marr.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. A year ago, our CEO David Morecambe was appointed as a Director on Destination Gippsland's board. A requirement of DG's constitution includes CEOs as appointed directors from local government areas within Gippsland, and this includes the Bass Coast, Bawbaw, Latrobe, South Gippsland, East Gippsland and Wellington Shires. It's important to note that the cost to council for membership is $33,940 for the 2021 year, with all LGAs contributing the same amount in accordance with current tourism service funding agreements. It's important to also state that David is considered well positioned to continue in this role. His experience and his leadership will ensure that Destination Gippsland will continue to meet their priorities, and the Gippsland Management Plan towards 2030, which is looking at strengthening, developing, revitalising and investing in Gippsland tourism's economy, and ensuring that Gippsland is certainly a destination for all around Victoria. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Marr. The next item on the agenda is item 12.1, is the Assembly of Councillors.
Mayor.
Councillor Ripper.
I move that Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillors records for the period 10 May 2021 to 23 May 2021.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Is there a seconder?
Councillor Wood.
Councillor Wood, thank you very much. Is there any opposition to that recommendation? If not, I declare it carried. Councillor Ripper.
No further word, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ripper. The next item on the agenda, item 12.2, approval of the amended appointment of committees and delegates 2020-2021.
Happy to move that, Mayor. Councillor Bye.
Yes, please proceed.
I move that councillors be formally appointed to the vacant council committees in accordance with the updated register as attached.
Thank you, Councillor Bye. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Marr, I think your hand went up. I can't hear you, but I can see you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor
I'm happy to
Marr.
second me.
Okay. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'm happy to declare it carried. Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Mayor. What this is it's a motion to formally appoint councillors to the vacancies left by the sad passing of Councillor Hole. All councillors sit on various committees to represent the community, and this is just filling the void that has sadly been left by Councillor Hole to appoint people to those committees.
Yep. Thank you very much, Councillor Bye. We will now move on to item 12.3, is the adoption of the 2021 property revaluation.
I'm happy to move that, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marr. Please proceed.
I move that Council adopt the following valuation figures as at the return date of 1 January 2021 and the table as read.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder?
Happy to second that, Mayor. Councillor Bye.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bye. Is there any opposition to the adoption of the recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. The Victorian Valuer General's Office undertakes valuations on an annual basis as per the requirements of the Victorian Government's legislation and regulations. The figures listed in the table are values as at the 1st of January 2021, and these figures are effective as of the 1st of July 2021 and are upon which the rating figures are going to be based. Ratepayers will be issued a notice of valuation shortly, and it's important to note that should they not agree with the valuation that they see, they have 2 months to object. Wellington Shire is now utilising a portal that is being managed by DELP, and it's a much simpler process should someone wish to object. Objections will still be checked by council and then pushed through to the Valuer General's office. However, objecting is a separate process to when the annual rate notice is received, and they will, I think they're being sent out in approximately August of 2021. So please pay attention to the notice of valuations, and should you wish to object, do so. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Marr. The next item on the agenda is 12.4, is the adoption of the revenue and rating plan for 2021-2024.
I'm happy to move.
That was you, Councillor Crosley.
Councillor Crossley, yes.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crosley. Do I have a seconder?
I'm going to move it, yet.
Oh, sorry, you haven't, yes. I'm going into bad habits there, aren't I? Yes, Councillor Crosley.
I move that Council adopt the Revenue and Rating Plan 2021 to 2024 as attached.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I now have a seconder? Councillor Marr? Will second that. Thank you. Is there any objection to the adoption of that recommendation? No, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. The Local Government Act 2020 requires that Council prepare and adopt a revenue and rating plan for each new council, basically. And this establishes the framework of how we raise the rates over that next 4 years. Rates and charges are very significant. In fact, they're the most significant area that we obtain rates to provide the 110 different services that Wellington Shire provides for our community. The rates are 58% of the total revenue. Grants is about 15%, fees and charges 8%, operating grants about 16%, and then there's about 3% from other areas of contribution. So as you can see, we rely on the rate base to provide those services for the bulk of the funds to provide the services for our community. The significant area is that is how we raise those funds and what system that we utilise. The document's very interesting that it outlines the different options that could be adopted and the pros and cons, but the Wellington Shire has recommended to use the capital improved value as we have done in the past, and is the most commonly adopted system across Victoria. It's also enables us to, it's believed to be the fairest way to share the burden of the rates across the Shire. It's also gives us the ability to have a differential rating system, which we have one differential that we provide for our farming community of 20%, which gives them where they pay 80% of the rate in the dollar for their rates, which is also in line with the majority of councils, rural and regional councils in Victoria. It was also interesting to note that in the recent fact sheet from the Essential Service Commission that 63% of our rates and charges revenue comes from our residential ratepayers, 20% comes from our commercial and industrial ratepayers, and 17% comes from our rural ratepayers. So you can see it's quite a range of where we get our rates from, and obviously the residential rates are the biggest providers of our rate income. This is a lot of documents have got a lot of words in them, but all of this document's actually a really informative document. So I really encourage community members that are interested in this area to have a read of the document, because it gives you a great idea of why these decisions are made, and it's really to try and make it the fairest system possible for all residents. There's also a capacity in there for if you have difficulty in paying your rates, the system that you can do a time payment, and so if people have difficulty with their rates, there is a process that can assist, and I encourage people to use that. But I commend this document and the clarity of the arguments and the presentations that were in it, and despite what you usually think of these documents, it was a very interesting read. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Crosley. The next item on the agenda is item 12.5, the approval to advertise review of mayoral council allowances, call for public submissions. Yes, do I have a mover?
Councillor Ripper is going to move that, Mayor.
Please proceed, Councillor Ripper.
I move that 1, provide public notice that it has reviewed the mayoral and councillor allowances in accordance with section 74(1) of the Local Government Act 1989, and is proposing that the following allowance, initially set by the Victorian Government, continue until the Remuneration Tribunal makes its first determination on allowances. A, the mayoral allowance for a Category 2 council is at $81,204 plus the equivalent percentage for the superannuation guarantee. B, the council allowance for a Category 2 council is at $26,245 plus the equivalent percentage for the superannuation guarantee. 2, also invite public submission relating to the reviewed mayoral and councillor allowances commencing immediately and closing on Tuesday the 29th of June 2021 at 5 p.m. 3, consider submissions on the proposed mayoral and councillor allowances at a council meeting on Tuesday the 6th of July 2021 at 3 p.m. And 4, meet on Tuesday the 20th of July 2021 at 6 p.m. to consider the formal adoption of the mayoral and council allowances until the Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal make its first determination.
Yes, do I have a seconder?
Second that. Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Is there any opposition to the adoption of this recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. The Local Government Act 2020 transfers responsibility in determining mayoral, deputy mayoral and councillor allowances to the Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal, the Remuneration Tribunal. However, until the Remuneration Tribunal makes its first determination on allowances, the allowance framework under the Local Government Act 1989 continues to apply. Section 39(6) of the 2020 Act provides this transition and arrangements. Mayors and councillors are entitled to receive an allowance while performing their duty as an elected official. Under the current framework, the Victorian Government sets the upper and lower levels for allowances paid to councillors. Allowance levels are subject to annual automatic adjustments that are announced in the Victorian Government Gazette by the Minister of Local Government. The Wellington Shire is deemed as a Category 2, along with 28 Victorian councils, and pays the following per annum. Councillors, $26,245. Mayor, $81,204. Now, further information regarding councillors' remuneration can be found at the Know Your Council website via the following link, Councillors' Remuneration Know Your Council. And those who aren't on the internet, you can certainly go to your nearest service centre or library, and you will be assisted by the relevant staff members. So individuals and organisations have an opportunity to make submissions in response to the review of the mayoral and council allowances. Submissions must be received no later than 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 29th of June 2021, and individuals also have the opportunity to speak to their submissions at the council meeting Tuesday the 6th of July 2021 at 3 p.m. Council will then meet on Tuesday 20th of July 2021 at 6 p.m. to consider the formal adoption of the mayoral and council allowances until the Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal make its first determination. So I would advise anyone that wants to make a submission to please do, and you have ample opportunity to do that. And as I said, council remuneration, know your council. But for those who aren't on the internet, please go to your service centre or to your friendly library, who will assist you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ripper. The next item on the agenda is item 13.1, the resolution of the long-standing 90 Mile Beach inappropriate subdivisions. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you. I move that Council endorse the attached letter to the Minister for Energy, Environment and Climate Change and other relevant ministers relating to the resolution of the long-standing 90 Mile Beach inappropriate subdivision.
Thank you. Do I have a second to Councillor Marr? Thank you, Councillor Marr. Second that. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. This has been a very long and painful process for the community as a whole. The history of the 90 Mile Beach has been played out in the media, but it all started from the greed of a developer in the 50s that really hoodwinked many people that didn't even see the site to invest in a dream for the future. And sadly, that dream became a nightmare. This is not a new thing. I did some research, and there's similar occurrences all across the coast of Victoria before the government brought planning permitting into a more concise system. So there's what they call these zombie sites throughout the state, but mainly on the coastal areas. But I think it's been well declared that the subdivision between Glomar Beach and Golden Beach is the longest running process. And this letter and this process is another stage in finalising this sad saga. I'd just like to read probably the most pertinent paragraph from the letter that Council has made to the Minister. That Council has made significant progress in transitioning undeveloped land into Council ownership in recent years, with the final stage of implementing being the state government's compulsory acquisition of remaining privately owned undevelopable land as recommended by the Victorian Ombudsman. This critical step will fulfil the Victorian Ombudsman's view that this long-running saga must be brought to an end, and the only way this will happen if the land that cannot be developed is acquired into the public interest of the benefit of all. Council also welcomes the transfer of the undeveloped land into state ownership for appropriate future public land management. So hopefully this will be the end of this process. The community can move on, and the land will be appropriately developed by the Crown for the use of all. So I know there's broken hearts over this process. It's been a very long process, and we're hoping that this is moving to the final stage.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crosley. The next item on the agenda is item 13.2, is the Planning 2020 Customer Satisfaction Survey results.
Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Please go ahead.
I move that Council note the result of the 2020 statutory planning applicant and objector survey as attached.
Thank you. Got a seconder for that?
Councillor Bye.
Thank you, Councillor Bye. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? No, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Wood.
The Council Planning Unit undertakes an annual survey of planning permit applicants and objectors. The results of the 2020 planning survey are being reported to the Council today. The results show positive feedback for how the planning unit is performing, particularly for planning permit applications. Council delegates its planning decision-making to staff, which helps to ensure that planning permit decisions can be made in a timely manner, with Wellington Shire Council consistently being one of the best performing planning departments in the state. The results will be used by planning staff to continue to improve performance. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Wood. The next item on the agenda is 13.3, is the proposed sale of 511 Bengworden Road, Cobains, which is actually the site of the former Cobains Hall. Councillor Crosley. I'm
right. I move that 1. Council resolves that property described as 511 Bengworden Road, Cobains, as shown on the plan within the more specifically referred as Lot 1, LP 94951, Volume 08929, Folio 040, and Crown Allotment 6B, TP 350590H, Volume 05866, Folio 119, is not required for council purposes. And if you could indulge me to have the rest as read.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Crosley. Do I have a seconder?
Councillor Wood.
Councillor Wood, thank you, Councillor Wood. Is there any opposition to that recommendation? If not, I'm happy to declare it carried. Councillor Crosley.
I suppose I should have actually read that we're resolving to sell the property. Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, that's right. I think we'll take that as a given, Councillor Crosley.
Take that as a given, yes. This, as you say, this has been a abandoned Cobains Hall. It's been sitting there unused. It's a 1950s hardy plank, fairly rudimentary hall situated next to the primary school. It hasn't been used for years. Many discussions around the community. Nobody wanted to put their hand up to utilise it, including the primary school. So it's in excess to our requirements. So the best use is to sell the property to gain some money back into the coffers. The work we've had, it's been rezoned, so it could be either used as rural or a permit could be to put a residence on it. So we're hoping that somebody out there wishes to purchase it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crosley. The next item on the agenda is item 14.1, the Hodges Road, Congala Special Charge Scheme intention to declare.
I'll move that, Mayor.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Ripper.
Right. I move 1. Council commence the statutory process under the Local Government Act 1989, the Act to declare a special charge scheme, proposed scheme, for the purposes of constructing Hodges Road, CH00, CH200 in Congala, providing driveway crossings and culverts from road edge to building line. And 2, Council, in accordance with sections 163(1)(a) and 163(b)(3) of the Act, direct that a public notice be given in the Gippsland Times newspaper and on Council's website of the intention of Council to declare the scheme at its ordinary meeting to be held on the 17th of August 2021, in accordance with the proposed declaration of special charge scheme number 2101 and 3. Council direct that in accordance with section 1631C of the Act, separate letters enclosing a copy of the public notice be sent to the owners of the proposed declaration of special charge, advising, I'll go back, properties referred to and set out in the schedule of properties forming part of the proposed declarations of special charge, advising of the intention of Council to declare the special charge at its ordinary meeting to be held on the 17th of August 2021. The basis of the calculation and distribution to be held on 17th of August 2021, the basis of the calculation and distribution of the special charge, and notifying such persons that submissions and or objections in writing in relation to the proposed declaration of special charge will be considered and or taken into account by Council in accordance with section 163A, 163B and 223 of the Act. And 4, Council appoint the following 3 councillors: Councillor Ripper, Councillor Bye, Councillor Tatterson and an alternate representative, Councillor Crosley, to form the Hodges Road Special Charge Scheme Submissions Committee that is established by Council under section 2231B I of the Act to consider written submissions, objections, and to hear any persons who in their written submissions under section 223 of the Act have requested that they are heard in support of their submissions, and 5, the Chief Executive Officer of or the person for the time being acting in that position be authorised to give public notice of the proposed declaration of special charge in accordance with sections 163B, 223 of the Local Government Act 1989, and 6, Chief Executive Officer, the General Manager, Build and Natural Environment, the Manager, Build Environment, or any person for the time being acting in any of those positions, each be authorised to carry out any and all other administrative procedures necessary to enable Council to carry out its functions under section 163A and sections 163, 1A, 1B and 1C and sections 163B and 223 of the Act.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. You can draw a breath now. Who would like to second that?
Second.
Councillor Wood. Thank you very much, Councillor Wood. If there's no opposition to those recommendations, I will declare them carried. Councillor Ripper.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The Coongulla Township's located north side of Lake Glenmagin, is located in the northwest area of Wellington Shire. Hodges Road commences at Ryans Road, traversing initially through the residential section of the town before heading through a rural residential area and then heading into the state forest. An investigation of the council charge scheme was commenced following on property owners' concerns in relation to dust, rutting and the maintenance grading regime of gravel roads of the Coongulla Township. Now, this was the 11th of November 2019. And we moved forward, a follow-up survey with property owners at the time was undertaken and mailed out on the 23rd of January 2020 to determine the level of interest in such proposal on a whole of the town basis. The results from the survey indicated an overall interest of 52%, property owners being in support. So a further letter, this is step 3, a further letter and survey was sent to the property owners in Hodges Road. The letter outlining the proposed scheme with a survey form was mailed out on the 18th of March 2021. Now, the results of the survey in relation to the proposed scheme is property owners 6, support 4, that's 67%, opposition 1, 17%, 1 17% didn't reply, properties 4, 67%, and 1 opposed and 1 did not reply. So this will be further moved on by those relevant managers of the council. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Ripper. And we'll now move to item 14.2.
I'll move that, Mayor.
Thank you. Go ahead, please, Councillor Marr.
I move that 1, Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report of the Council meeting agenda for contract 2021-042A, Yarram Warmer Pools Sunshade Shelter, and 2, the information contained in the confidential attachment contract 2021-042A, Yarram Warmer Pool Sunshade Shelter, and designated confidential under section 3.1 confidential information of the Local Government Act 2020 by the General Manager, Built and Natural Environment on 12th of May 2021 because it relates to the following grounds. G, private commercial information, being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that if released would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage. Be designated confidential information under section 3.1 confidential information of the Local Government Act 2020, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tenderer can be made public.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. We have a seconder.
Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you, Councillor McKenzie. Is there any opposition to these two recommendations? If not, I'm very pleased to be able to declare them carried, and I can also announce the successful tenderer is Shade and Sales. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. As you and I both know, this has certainly been a very long process for the Yarram community. And as far as I'm aware, it's been 20 plus years that this has been a discussion within the community, as well as Yarram Rotary and the Shire. I can recall for many years being a parent helper with the kids at doing local swimming schools, helping many children wearing wetsuits in the pool, and many of the kids, those particularly not in wetsuits, coming out with very blue lips. So I can certainly assure everyone that this is something that the Yarram community will certainly be very happy with, and they will certainly feel as though all of their hard work has come to a pleasing result. This motion is for the first stage of the project, which is installation of the membrane and construction of the frame with cafe-style blinds. And for those local, they will realise that it is similar to what they have viewed at the Chura pool that is located in South Gippsland. There's a separate contract for the heat pumps. However, this is still to be finalised. However, such a project certainly comes at a great cost, as we all know. A big thank you and acknowledgement to the Yarram Rotary for their contribution of $61,000 towards this project. That is certainly helped get this project over the line, and we certainly know that it's come from a lot of fundraising and so forth over the years, and we certainly say thank you to them. The other is the Victorian State Government State Sport and Recreational Victoria grant, which has also provided $250,000, and the balance of money is coming from the Wellington Shire's Capital Works budget. So we certainly thank councillors tonight for approving this project. And once again, this is a really positive project for the Yarram community, and thanks needs to be provided to everyone who has worked tirelessly over the years, particularly those officers and the CEO who was tripped down to Yarram many a night to have a conversation with the local community to discuss this, and I commend everyone for not taking this off the table and saying it's too hard. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Murray. I'd just like to endorse your comments. Thank my fellow councillors for your support, Mr CEO and the council staff for all the hard work that they've put into this project. And as you said, Councillor Murray, it's been going on for a number of years. And I'd just like to particularly thank Mr Rob Davies, who's championed this project through the Yarram Rotary Club for, at least 4 or 5 years, possibly double that. And so it's great to see us proceeding. So thank you very much to you all for your efforts. I think the next item is further gallery or online comments. Mr CEO, do we have any online comments?
No, nothing online, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr CEO. There was no need to go into closed session. So at this point of time, I am happy to declare the meeting closed at 3:49. I think that's what it says here, 3:49 p.m. Thank you all for your attendance, and hopefully we'll be able to meet in person for the next meeting.